I don't read. I think I've said this a lot, but seriously, I don't read. There's really no reason for this, other than the fact that I'm too stubborn to. I liked books when I was younger. I didn't eat them like Mira and Bryn did, but I definitely read my fair share. I mean, what else are you supposed to do when you're not raised in a generation that gets a touchscreen phone by the time they're 8? When I was 13, I got my hands on the Harry Potter series. Now, I surprisingly didn't know anything about it because the only people I knew that read books were Mira and Bryn, and they refused to say anything to me about the series. They just kept saying that I had to read it if I wanted to understand what they were talking about. So, I did. I picked it up, and I read the first book in a week. My obsession grew very rapidly as I blew through the other books in the series. I sped through each of them and slowly grew to like them just as much as Bryn and Mira did. And I discovered my first love of a character, Fred Weasley. I was in love with Fred Weasley. Then, of course, the book was spoiled for me. A scene was spoiled for me. A very upsetting, soul-crushing scene. And just like that, books were ruined for me. Movies were ruined for me. TV was ruined for me. Spoilers were the bane of my teenage existence, and I was too afraid to pick up a book after that. Too afraid eventually turned into too lazy. And then, slowly, I just looked up books and associated them with pain, loss, grief, and spoilers. The bane of my teenage existence. So it has been such for the last 6 years. I've barely picked up a single book since then. And honestly, if you couldn't already tell, it shows. You know, I used to be up there with my high reading level, with Mira and Bryn, and being able to speed read, and having a high literacy rate. I was good at reading. Oh, if only you guys could see my high school literacy scores. It was not pretty. See, now there are tons of reasons why I hate books. Well, since I started dating Hugo, hate isn't exactly the word, since he has the two of us reading books together. But I have a lot of new reasons for avoiding books. Number 1, I sadly grew up, and with that, my beautiful childlike imagination dissipated. Reading just seemed like this mundane task because nothing seemed big and colorful. I was just looking at dead trees and feeling bored. Number 2, I'm lazy, and books are hard work. I actually have to use my brain and take time out of my day to comprehend what's going on through it. I don't like to use that much brain power more than I have to. Don't get me wrong, learning is cool and all, but my tiny brain can only handle so much of it, you know? Number 3, they're so expensive. Books are expensive, like ridiculously expensive. I would know this. Mira and Bryn used to drag me to the bookstores back at home in America whenever they got the chance. Not to mention, now I hang out with Bridget, Alice, and Hugo all the time. And they also like to take the time out of their days to go and try to get something new to read. But $30 for a book? Oh no, I like to keep my grocery money, thank you very much. Not to mention libraries. Oh gosh, libraries are so... I don't know, they rub me the wrong way. I always feel so awkward and out of place when I go to a library. Like some sort of spirit could just pinpoint me and know that I didn't read, that I'm not immersed in literature, that I'm not well versed in it. And they're just so quiet, and I'm so... not. Everyone who goes to a library has a reason to be there, but I swear, every time I enter one, I just feel like I lose that purpose entirely. Like, why am I here? Why are the walls closing in? I just came in here because my assignment required that I use a book on the topic, man! Don't hurt me! Look, I understand books are like a comfort thing for some people. They find a lot of joy in them, but I just don't find that in them like other people do. They're okay, but they're just not my cup of tea. And I know what some of you are probably thinking. But Skylar, you just haven't found the right book yet. And while you're probably very correct, that doesn't mean I'm going to try and go through the effort of finding it. Again, I'm very lazy. I can read books when Hugo is around, and I listen to Bridget rave about some fantastic romance between two of her favorite characters. But I've never used books as a comfort. I rant in things like these. I write out my feelings in all caps in a journal or something. I know, I like writing and don't like reading. Such a hypocrite, right? You're not wrong. Here's the thing. I know I should probably take to reading more. There are so many reasons I don't like it, but there's also so many reasons I should. I really hope that one day I can, if I'm being honest. I haven't found it in myself, you know? Again, I've despised reading for 6 years. If you've seen any of my other videos, you probably know that I think the universe is trying to get me to finally pick up a book. And you would also know that I'm a stubborn human, and I simply refuse to off of that idea alone. I like proving things wrong, and I like proving people wrong. It's just one of those things. Anyway, yes, the reason I like to say I'm practically illiterate is quite frankly because I am. I did well in all of my classes in high school. I do well in all of my classes now. But there was one thing that I liked to get out of a lot in high school, and that was the required reading for my English class. Usually, my friends, "This is terrible, kids, don't do this, have integrity." They would do the reading for me because they actually liked what we were reading, and I would do whatever assignment we needed to do based off of that. I'm not into classic literature. The language is weird, and I could never understand all of the symbolism and fancy stuff going on. They just seem super boring to me because of that, you know? Yeah, and anyways, if I'm going to read a book, I want it to be because I'm genuinely interested. Not because I have to for the sake of a good grade. Well, I haven't exactly been interested in reading books since I was a kid, but that's besides the point. I actually need some pointers. How do I get back into reading again? If I'm being honest, I'm definitely going to need it if I'm going to be a journalist. And I just feel like I would feel that much closer to the rest of my friends that do read if I could get into it. It might be nice to go on some non-real adventure for once too. I like to see, touch, smell, and just absorb the world around me every chance that I get. But maybe I could get a sense of adventure from reading a book. 15-year-old me would be quaking in her boots right now if she heard me saying any of this. Seriously though, I need suggestions. I may be illiterate, but if there's one thing in this world I don't want to be, it's my aunt who never went to college and is still convinced she's smarter than everyone. And I especially don't want to be that version of her that just didn't read. You can't see it, but I'm shuddering. I need to unalliterate myself.